The truth shall set you free, and that's all we want.
I wish to share with you a profound truth that has eluded countless individuals in their pursuit of their desires. The very reason most people remain trapped in their current circumstances, unable to manifest their dreams, lies in their misunderstanding of one fundamental principle. You see, the world you experience at this very moment is nothing more than the outward projection of your inner assumptions. Every success, every failure, every circumstance in your life is a direct reflection of what you have accepted as true in your consciousness. The key step that most people miss, and this is crucial, is that they fail to occupy the state of the wish fulfilled. They pray, they hope, they work hard, but they continue to live from their current state of consciousness rather than the state they desire to express. Let me explain this more deeply. When you want something, be it wealth, love, success, or any other desire, you must first understand that it already exists in what I call the fourth dimensional world. This is the world of infinite possibilities, the world of imagination, where all things already exist in their perfect form. The secret lies not in working towards your desire, but in accepting that you already possess it. This is where most people stumble. They continue to see their desire as something to be achieved in the future, thereby perpetuating the state of wanting rather than having. Think for a moment. When you say, I want to be successful, you are actually confirming and reinforcing your current state of lack. You are declaring to your subconscious mind that success is something outside of you, something you don't currently possess. This very assumption keeps you locked in the state of wanting. Instead, you must dare to assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled. If you desire success, you must go about your day feeling successful, thinking from success, acting from success, not as a future state to be achieved, but as a present fact. This is not mere positive thinking or affirmation. This is a complete transformation of your consciousness. You must feel the naturalness of being what you want to be. If you desire wealth, you must feel wealthy now. If you desire love, you must feel loved now. If you desire success, you must feel successful now. The power of your assumption, when persisted in, becomes your reality. This is law. Just as the seed contains within itself the full potential of the mature plant, your consciousness contains within itself the full potential of all you desire to be. Most people live their entire lives never realizing that their imagination is actually the very substance of reality. They see imagination as mere fantasy, as something separate from what they call reality. But I tell you this, your imagination is reality itself in its first stage of manifestation. Consider this, everything you now accept as real in your world was once only imagined. The chair you're sitting on, the clothes you're wearing, the building you're in, all were first imagined before they became what you now accept as reality. This is the pattern of creation. The same principle applies to your desires. The state you wish to occupy already exists in your imagination. It is as real as anything you now accept as fact. The only difference is your assumption about what is real and what is imagined. Let me share with you a profound truth. You never attract what you want. You attract what you are. And what you are is determined by the state you occupy in consciousness. This is why affirmations alone often fail. You cannot affirm externally what you deny internally. The key step that people miss is the complete surrender to the state desired. They try to make things happen instead of allowing things to happen through the natural law of assumption. They stand outside their desire, looking at it instead of living from within it. When you truly grasp this principle, you will understand that there is nothing to change but your assumptions about yourself and your world. The outer world must conform to your inner assumptions. This is law. Many of you sit here tonight thinking, yes, but how do I change my assumptions? The answer is simpler than you might imagine. Yet it requires a complete reversal of your traditional thinking. Instead of working hard to achieve something, you must assume that you already have it. The art of assumption is the most vital skill you must master. When you assume a state, you must persist in that state until it becomes your dominant feeling. This is where people falter. They test the law instead of proving it through persistent assumption. Let me tell you something profound. Your consciousness is the only reality. Right now, as you sit here, you might believe that your senses define reality. But I tell you, your senses only show you what your consciousness has already accepted as true. Think about this carefully. Every night when you sleep, you enter different states in your dreams. In those dreams, you experience sights, sounds, and sensations that feel completely real. Where do these experiences come from? They come from consciousness itself. They come from consciousness deliberately creating these experiences. The difference between your dream state and your waking state is only in the intensity of your assumption. What you now consider reality is simply a more intense and persistent dream that you've collectively agreed upon. Now, here's where most people miss the crucial step. They fail to understand that they can wake up from their current dream, their current state, by assuming a new state with the same intensity that they assume their present state. You see, at this very moment, you are assuming certain things about yourself. You're assuming your name, your job, your relationships, your financial status. These assumptions feel so natural to you that you don't even question them. This is the key. Whatever you assume with complete conviction must externalize itself in your world. But here's the vital truth that most miss. You can assume something new with the same naturalness. This is not pretense. This is not make-believe. This is the creative use of the same power that sustains your present assumptions. When you go to sleep tonight, you naturally assume you're in your bed, You don't question it. You don't doubt it. This same unquestioning acceptance must be applied to your desired state. Listen carefully now, for this is where the secret of manifestation lies. When you assume your desire fulfilled, you must do it with the same naturalness with which you assume your bed is real when you lie down to sleep. This naturalness is the key that most seekers miss. Your imagination, when properly directed, is not mere daydreaming. It is the very substance of reality. Every time you imagine something, you are literally creating a mold into which the substance of your world will flow. But, and this is crucial, you must remain faithful to your imaginal act. Most people perform an imaginal act and then return to their old state of consciousness. They imagine themselves wealthy for a moment, then open their eyes and react to their current financial situation. This vacillation between states prevents the manifestation of their desire. You must understand this. The moment you assume a new state, your entire world must rearrange itself to accommodate your new assumption. This is law. But you must give it time to externalize. The seed must have time to grow. Let me share with you a principle that few understand. Time is not a distance to be traveled. It is a sequence of states to be experienced. When you assume your desire fulfilled, you have actually entered the state where your desire exists. The time it takes to externalize is merely the time required for you to feel natural in that state. Most people fail because they don't grasp this truth. The feeling of naturalness is the key. If being wealthy feels unnatural to you, if being loved feels unnatural, if success feels unnatural, then you are not truly occupying that state. You are merely visiting it in your imagination. You must persist in your new state until it feels just as natural as your present state now feels. This is where faith comes in. Not faith in some external power, but faith in the law that consciousness is the only reality. When you truly grasp this, you will understand that there is nothing to change but your conception of self. Change that, and you change your entire world. Now, let me share with you something profound about the nature of your consciousness. Your I amness, your awareness of being, is God Himself individualized. When you say I am, you are proclaiming the name of God, for that is the true name of God. I am that I am. A fatal mistake that most people make is that they do not understand this power of I am. They use it unconsciously, carelessly, not realizing that whatever follows I am is what they are decreeing into existence. When you say, I am poor, I am sick, I am unlucky, you are literally commanding these states into being. This is the key step that people miss. They do not watch their assumptions. Every time you react to an event, every time you speak about yourself, you are setting into motion the law that shapes your world. Your I am is your consciousness, and your consciousness is the only reality. Consider this. Right now, you are saying, I am, to everything you accept as true about yourself. These assumptions have become so natural that you don't even recognize them as assumptions. They feel like facts. But I tell you, they are only facts because you have given them the power of your assumption. The secret of manifestation lies in transferring your awareness from one state to another. You must cease to be the person you believe yourself to be and assume the consciousness of the person you wish to be. This is not pretense. This is the creative use of the only power that exists. When you say, I am successful, I am wealthy, I am loved, you are not lying to yourself. You are actually entering into that state in consciousness. And since consciousness is the only reality, you are literally creating that reality. But, and this is crucial, you must persist in that state until it feels natural. This is where most people fail. They make a bold declaration of what they want to be, but they don't persist until it feels natural. They don't give the seed time to grow. You see, manifestation follows a divine pattern. Just as a seed must be planted and given time to grow, your assumption must be planted in consciousness and given time to externalize. The law operates with mathematical precision. Whatever you are conscious of being, you will manifest. There is no other way. This is why your current world perfectly reflects your past assumption. Every detail of your life, every relationship, every circumstance, there's the flowering of seeds you have planted in your consciousness. Most people spend their lives trying to change things on the outside while maintaining the same consciousness. They try to change their world while remaining in the same state. This is like trying to harvest different fruits while planting the same seeds. It is against law. Listen carefully now, for I am about to share with you the secret of effective prayer. True prayer is not begging or beseeching an external power. True prayer is assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. When you pray, you must pray believing that you have already received. This is where faith enters. But faith is not what most people think it is. Faith is not believing that something will happen in the future. Faith is accepting as fact what your senses deny. It is living from the end, feeling the reality of your desire fulfilled, while your senses tell you otherwise. Most people miss this crucial step. They pray and then look for evidence of answer. But I tell you, the evidence will only appear after you have persisted in your assumption. You must live as though your prayer has already been answered. Think about this. When you order something from a catalog, you don't keep ordering it over and over. You place the order once and then wait for its delivery. The same is true with your desires. You place your order with consciousness by assuming the feeling of your wish fulfilled. And then you wait in the absolute confidence that it must externalize. But here's the vital point that most miss. While you're waiting, you must maintain the consciousness of having already received. You must live from the end. your actions, your words, your attitudes must all spring from the assumption that your desire is already a fact. This is not easy, I know. The evidence of your senses will constantly try to pull you back to your old state. But you must persist. You must remain faithful to your assumption, despite all evidence to the contrary. Now, let me share with you another crucial aspect that most people overlook. Your consciousness is not confined to your physical body. Your consciousness extends to everything you are aware of. Therefore, when you change your consciousness, you change everything that falls within its range. This is why you cannot change others directly. You can only change them by changing your consciousness of them. Whatever you consciously assume about another must be manifested in your relationship with them. This is law. Most people try to change others through external means, through persuasion, through force, through manipulation. But I tell you, the only way to change another is to change your consciousness of them. Change your assumption about them, and they must conform to your new assumption. This applies to every area of your life. Your financial situation, your health, your relationships, all are simply outpicturings of your assumptions. When you change your assumption, the whole vast world must change to reflect your new consciousness. But here's where people stumble. They do not persist in their new assumption long enough for it to become natural. They venture into a new state of consciousness, but retreat at the first sign of contradiction. They are like farmers who dig up the seed to see if it's growing. You must understand this. The time between your assumption and its manifestation is not a period of inaction. It is a period of gestation. Just as a pregnant woman carries her child while going about her normal activities, you must carry your assumption while continuing with your daily life. During this period, you may face what seem to be contradictions to your assumption. Your senses may tell you that nothing has changed. This is the time when most people abandon their assumption and return to their old state. But I tell you, these apparent contradictions are actually signs that the law is working. Just as a seed must first dissolve before it can grow, your old conditions must often appear to worsen before they give way to your new state. This is law. The old must die for the new to be born. Therefore, I tell you this with absolute certainty. The key step that most people miss is not in the doing, but in the being. They focus on what they must do to achieve their desires, when they should be focusing on what they must be. Remember this eternal truth. Your world is yourself, pushed out. Everything you see, everything you experience is simply yourself externalized. There is no one to change but self. When you change your concept of self, you change your entire world. The great secret of life is this: there is no one to tell you no except yourself. There is no one to deny you except yourself. There is no one to delay your good except yourself. You are the power you have been seeking. You are the authority you have been waiting for. In closing, let me give you this final crucial understanding. Tonight, as you leave this place, you have a choice. You can continue to live from your old assumptions, thereby perpetuating your current conditions. Or you can dare to assume a new state of consciousness, thereby creating a new world. The choice is yours, and yours alone. But remember this: whatever state you assume, whatever concept you hold of yourself, will externalize itself in your world with mathematical precision. This is not theory, and this is law. So I say to you, dare to assume that you are what you want to be. Dare to enter into the state of your wish fulfilled. Dare to live from the end, for in this daring lies the key that most people miss. The key to all manifestation. Go forth now, not to make things happen, but to allow things to happen by virtue of your changed consciousness. Go forth, not to achieve, but to receive what is already yours by right of consciousness. Go forth, not to become, but to be what you desire to be. For I tell you this, the kingdom of heaven is within you, and that kingdom contains all that you could ever desire. Your assumption is the key that unlocks this kingdom. Use it wisely, use it lovingly, use it persistently. And remember always, you are the operant power. You are the consciousness through which all things emerge. You are the God of your universe, and your consciousness is the only reality. The state you assume today is the world you will experience tomorrow. Choose wisely, persist faithfully, and watch as your world transforms itself to match your assumption. That is all, and that is enough.
I want to reveal to you why these words hold such tremendous power and how you can use them to manifest everything you've ever desired. You see, most people spend their entire life searching outside themselves for power, for permission, for validation. They believe their desires must be achieved through hard work, struggle, and external forces. But I tell you this, all power resides within your own consciousness. When you declare, "I'm the power," you are acknowledging the fundamental truth of existence. You are recognizing that the force that moves the stars and grows the flowers is the same force that flows through your consciousness. Let me tell you something profound about these 4 words. When you speak them, you're not making a mere affirmation. You're declaring your true nature, your essential being. You're acknowledging the creative force within you. Consider this. Every great achievement in human history began with someone recognizing their inner power. They didn't wait for external permission. They didn't seek validation from others. They understood that all power flows from within. You see, most people have it backwards. They say, when I have this, then I will be powerful. But I tell you this, you must first assume your power, and then all things become possible. These 4 words, "I am the power," are not just words to be spoken. They must be felt. They must be lived. They must become your dominant state of consciousness. Let me share with you what happens when you truly embody these words. The entire universe must reorganize itself to reflect your new self-concept. This is not metaphysics. This is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you want to manifest. But I tell you this, manifestation is not about getting something you don't have. It's about revealing what already exists within your consciousness. When you declare, "I am the power," you're not creating power. You're acknowledging what has always been true. This recognition changes everything. Your entire world must shift to align with this declaration. You see, most people approach manifestation like beggars, hoping and wishing for their desires to be granted. But when you know I am the power, you approach life as a creator, knowing that what you decree must manifest. Let me share something profound about consciousness. Your consciousness is the only reality. Everything you see in your world is simply consciousness made visible. Therefore, when you declare I am the power, you're literally reshaping your entire universe. Think about this. Every morning when you wake up, you're either reinforcing your powerlessness or claiming your power. There's no neutral position. Every thought, every feeling, every assumption is either aligning with I am the power or denying it. You see, these 4 words are not just a positive affirmation. They are a recognition of the fundamental truth of your being. When you truly grasp this, manifestation becomes as natural as breathing. Most of you have been taught to look for power in external circumstances, in money, in relationships, in social status. But I tell you this, all these things are merely effects. The cause lies in your consciousness. Consider what happens when you truly know, I am the power. You no longer beg, you no longer plead, you no longer hope. You simply decree, and by law, your decree must manifest. Let me share with you why these words are so transformative. When you declare, I am the power, you're shifting your entire self-concept. You're no longer seeing yourself as a victim of circumstances, but as the creator of circumstances. You see, most people spend their lives reacting to what they see. But when you know I am the power, you understand that what you see is simply your consciousness pushed out. Therefore, to change what you see, you must change your consciousness. Think about this. Every great achievement began with someone knowing they were the power. They didn't wait for conditions to change. They changed conditions by changing their consciousness. Let me share with you what happens in the depths of consciousness when you truly embody these 4 words. Your entire world begins to reorganize itself to match your new self-concept. You see, most people believe their circumstances dictate their state of being. But when you declare, I am the power, you reverse this process. Your state of being now dictates your circumstances. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no middle ground. When you truly grasp these 4 words, you cease giving power to external conditions. Let me tell you something profound about manifestation. When you know I am the power, you stop asking how things will manifest. You understand that the power that knows the way will make the way. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your problems, your limitations, your obstacles. But I tell you this, these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten I am the power. You see, when you truly embody these 4 words, you enter a new dimension of being. In this dimension, problems don't need to be solved. They simply dissolve in the light of your consciousness. Think about this. Everything you see in your world right now is the result of your previous concepts about yourself. Change the concept by knowing I am the power, and your world must change. Let me share with you the true meaning of these words. When you declare, I am the power, you're not making a positive statement. You're acknowledging your true identity. Most of you have been taught to look for causes outside yourself. But when you know I am the power, you understand that you are the only cause in your world. Consider this carefully. Every condition in your life right now is simply a shadow of your consciousness. When you truly know I am the power, you cease fighting shadows and start changing consciousness. Let me tell you about the transformative nature of these 4 words. When you declare I am the power, you're not just changing your thoughts. You're changing the very foundation of your reality. You see, most people live their entire lives believing they're victims of circumstances. But when you truly embody I am the power, you understand that circumstances are merely reflections of consciousness. Consider what happens when you wake up each morning knowing I'm the power. Suddenly, obstacles become opportunities. Problems become possibilities. Every challenge becomes a chance to demonstrate your creative power. Let me share something profound about these words. When you declare, I am the power, you're not making a future promise. You're claiming a present reality. This distinction changes everything. Most of you sit here thinking about what you want to create in your future. But I tell you this, there is no future creation. There's only present assumption. When you know I am the power, you understand that what you assume now must manifest. You see, these four words are not just a statement. They are a complete shift in consciousness. When you truly embody them, you cease looking outside yourself for anything. Think about this. Every time you say, I can't, or it's too difficult, you're denying these four words. You're giving your power away to external conditions. Let me tell you what happens when you consistently maintain this consciousness. Your entire world must reshape itself to reflect your new self-concept. Most of you have spent years accumulating evidence of your limitations. But when you know I am the power, you understand that all past evidence is irrelevant. Only your present assumption matters. Consider this. Every great achievement in your life began with a shift in consciousness. When you knew you could, you did. These four words simply make this knowing permanent. Let me share with you something profound about these four words that most will never understand. When you declare, I am the power, you're not just making a statement. You're activating the very force that created the universe. You see, most people spend their lives waiting for permission to be powerful. They wait for the right circumstances, the right credentials, the right moment. But I tell you this, the only permission you need is your own recognition that I am the power. Consider what happens in your world when you truly embody these words. Your relationships change because you no longer seek power from others. Your work transforms because you no longer depend on external validation. Your entire life shifts because you're operating from a new dimension of consciousness. Let me tell you about the subtle shift that occurs when you consistently maintain this state. You stop asking, when will my desire manifest? Because you understand that manifestation is not a future event. It's a present moment recognition. Most of you have been taught that power is something to be acquired. But when you declare I'm the power, you understand that power is your natural state. Everything else is learned powerlessness. You see, these four words challenge everything you've been taught about. Cause and effect. When you know I am the power, you understand that consciousness is the only cause and everything else is effect. Think about this. Every time you say I hope or I wish, you're denying these four words. You're placing power outside yourself in some future event or external circumstance. Let me share with you what happens when you maintain this consciousness consistently. Your entire world must rearrange itself to match your new self-concept. This is not theory, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, your current limitations, your future obstacles. But I tell you this, all of these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten I am the power. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There is no neutral ground. When you truly grasp these four words, you cease giving power to anything external. Let me reveal to you the deeper meaning behind these four words. When you declare I am the power, you're not making a casual statement. You're aligning yourself with the fundamental creative force of the universe. You see, most people live their entire lives believing that power lies in their actions, their resources, their connections. But I tell you this, all these are merely expressions of consciousness. When you know I am the power, your actions flow from this knowing. Consider what happens when you approach each day from this consciousness. You no longer wake up wondering what the day will bring. You wake up knowing that you bring to the day whatever you decree in consciousness. Let me tell you about the transformation that occurs when you live from these four words. You stop seeking validation from others because you understand that all validation comes from within. You stop fighting circumstances because you know that circumstances are merely shadows. Most of you have spent years trying to change effects while leaving the cause untouched. But when you declare, I am the power, you go straight to the cause, your own consciousness.
You see, these four words contain within them the secret of all creation. When you truly embody them, you understand that everything in your world is simply your consciousness pushed out.
Think about this. Every time you blame external conditions for your state, you're denying these four words. You're giving away your creative power to shadows. Let me share with you what happens when this consciousness becomes natural to you. You stop asking, how will this happen? Because you understand that the power that knows the way will make the way. Most of you sit here thinking about what's possible and what's impossible. But I tell you this, possibility and impossibility exist only in consciousness. When you know I am the power, all things become possible. Consider this. Every limitation in your life right now exists only because you've accepted it in consciousness. When you truly embody these 4 words, all limitations dissolve. Let me share with you something profound about these 4 words that will forever change how you view manifestation. When you declare I am the power, you're not just speaking words. You're awakening to your true identity. You see, most people spend their lives seeking power through achievement, through accumulation, through recognition. But I tell you this, all seeking ends when you realize that you are what you've been seeking. Consider what happens when you truly grasp these words. You stop looking for signs, you stop waiting for permission, you stop seeking approval, because when you know I am the power, what else could you possibly need? Let me tell you about the shift that occurs in your relationships when you embody these words. You no longer need others to complete you, to validate you, to empower you. You become complete within yourself, and paradoxically, this completeness attracts more fulfilling relationships. Most of you have been taught that power comes from doing. But when you declare I'm the power, you understand that power comes from being. Your doing then flows naturally from your being. You see, these 4 words revolutionize your entire approach to manifestation. You stop trying to make things happen and start allowing them to unfold from your consciousness. Think about this. Every time you say, I'll try or I hope, you're actually denying your power. You're placing the fulfillment of your desires in some uncertain future. Let me share with you what happens. When you maintain this consciousness consistently, your entire world must reshape itself to reflect this new self-concept. This is not magic, this is law. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about what you need to do to manifest your desires. But I tell you this, manifestation is not about doing, it's about being. When you know I am the power, the doing takes care of itself. Consider this. Every great achievement in history began with someone knowing their power. They didn't wait for conditions to be perfect. They understood that conditions respond to consciousness, you see. Most people spend their lives in reaction mode, responding to circumstances, adapting to conditions. But I tell you this, when you know I am the power, you create circumstances, you determine conditions. Consider what happens when you approach each moment from this consciousness. You no longer see problems as obstacles, you see them as opportunities to demonstrate your creative power. Let me tell you about the transformation that occurs in your financial world when you embody these words. Money ceases to be something you chase and becomes something you attract through your consciousness of abundance. Most of you have been programmed to believe that success requires struggle. But when you declare, I am the power, you understand that success is simply the natural expression of your consciousness. You see, these 4 words completely transform your relationship with time. When you truly know I am the power, you cease postponing your good to some future date. Think about this. Every time you say, when I have this, then I'll be powerful, you're denying your present power. You're placing your power in external conditions. Let me share with you what happens when this consciousness becomes your natural state. Your entire experience of reality shifts. What seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Most of you sit here tonight thinking about your past failures, your present limitations, your future uncertainties. But I tell you this, all these are merely shadows cast by a consciousness that has forgotten its power. Consider this. Every moment of your life, you're either expressing power or expressing limitation. There's no middle ground. When you truly grasp these 4 words, you cease giving power to anything external. Let me share with you the final and most crucial understanding about these 4 words. When you declare I am the power, you are making the ultimate declaration of independence from all external influences. You see, tonight marks a turning point in your life. From this moment forward, you will never again see yourself as powerless. You will never again give your power away to circumstances, to other people, or to past experiences. Consider this moment right now. As you sit here absorbing these words, you have a choice. You can continue living as you have been, seeing power as something outside yourself, or you can claim your true identity by knowing I am the power. Let me tell you what your world will look like when you fully embody these words. Everything that once seemed like an obstacle will become a stepping stone. Every challenge will become an opportunity to demonstrate your creative power. Most of you came here tonight seeking answers. But I tell you this, the only answer you need is already within you. It is the knowing, the absolute conviction that I am the power. You see, these 4 words are not just a technique or a method. They are a complete revolution in consciousness. When you truly embody them, your entire world must transform. Think about tomorrow morning when you wake up. Will you rise as the same person who came here tonight? Or will you rise knowing I am the power, ready to create your day consciously? Let me share with you this final truth. There's no power outside of you. There never was and there never will be. All power resides in consciousness, and you are that consciousness. From this moment forward, let every breath you take be a reminder that I am the power. Let every heartbeat affirm this truth. Let every step you take be from this consciousness. Remember, you are not becoming powerful. You are simply recognizing what has always been true. You are the power that creates worlds. You are the power that moves mountains. You are the power that transforms lives. Tonight, make this sacred commitment to yourself. Promise that you will never again deny your power. Promise that you will never again give your power away. Promise that you will live every moment from the consciousness that I am the power. For this promise lies your freedom. In this recognition lies your transformation. In this knowing lies everything you have ever desired. Go forth now, not as seekers, but as knowers, not as hopeful dreamers, but as conscious creators, not as victims of circumstances, but as masters. For when you know, truly know, I am the power, nothing in this world can stand against you. Nothing can deny you. Nothing can limit you. This is your moment. This is your time. This is your power. Now rise up and claim it. Rise up and live it. Rise up and be it. For you are the power. You have always been the power. And you will always be the power. Let this be your final understanding, your ultimate truth, your eternal knowing. I am the power. And so it is.